Next year, 7 very overlooked languages are about to change everything. And I mean everything from where you could live to how much you could earn.
I had to learn. It was a mission that I couldn't bear the idea of not understanding.
These are not the languages that they offer at school. They are hidden gems that could give you an incredible advantage while everyone else is learning other useful languages. Ready to discover which surprising language could transform your life? Well, let me show you what most language learners are missing.
Današnji bogasti moj dan je tako zanimljivo. Dan kao bolesna osoba.
If you hear this language on the streets of London or New York City, you might mistake it for Russian, but it's something else entirely. And if you know your tennis legends, well, this guy has put the language on the map.
Dalje mi godi što sam tu I uvek je to jedan veliki cilj, ali nije toliko veliki kao što je nekad bio.
But the real story is what Americans are saying about Serbian.
My first 2 years, I was taking courses to study Serbian language. As I said, I was really determined to live here. If you have a good job here, actually, I consider it to be more free than the United States.
That's right, and it's not just Americans.
Ima neki stranci ovde u Jarku, ja pričam sa ljudima I ja kažem, ja sam sad, nisam jedini stranac u Jarku. Svi kažu, pa nisi ti stranac, ti si naš.
It's a wonderfully loose feeling just to be here. I'll go to Canada for 2 weeks and then come back here and it's like, okay, now I can relax.
Sean actually traveled to 43 countries on a Vespa, and then out of all of these countries, he decides to settle in Serbia. When I heard of an Australian woman who did the exact same thing, well, I was intrigued.
Very interesting thought that you said, that Serbia is a country where you cannot feel alone.
When you talk to a Serbian in their mother tongue, you're speaking to their hearts.
Well, there is no better way to say it. People who move to Serbia, they don't ever want to leave. And it turns out that knowing Serbian is great for a number of reasons. By the way, we haven't met. I'm Olly Richards. I'm a linguist and an author. I've been passionate about languages since I was very young. I speak 8 so far, and I just love sharing my discoveries with you. Now, listen to this. Serbia is one of Europe's hidden gems in the heart of the Balkans. And from all of my research, I'm convinced the language could give you an edge in all the Balkan countries. Firstly, Serbs are friendly, laid-back people who love good food and hanging out in cafes for hours.
Može is a very useful word. It's basically, is it okay? It is okay. So for example, if you go to a friend's place and they're gonna be like, može kafa? Is coffee okay? And you're like, it is okay.
And Belgrade, the capital, has really become a business-friendly environment. Their tech scene is absolutely booming. More global companies and expats are jumping in each year, and it seems to be buzzing with digital nomads. You know, those people who always seem to be traveling and sitting in cafes working on laptops? Those guys. And me, because I'm like that half the time. Oh, and I never actually knew about this before, but Serbia has a kind of music genre called turbo folk that's catching on all around the world. And let's not forget how perfect Serbia is for adventure travelers. You seen this place? It is crazy good. Anyway, I checked out rental costs, and renting a place in Serbia is at least 70% cheaper, 70% cheaper than the US. So if you're a digital nomad earning dollars, well, you could live very, very comfortably, or as a Serb would say, like a kidney in fat.
I still sound like a foreigner, but at least I can get through some conversations if I just don't worry about this grammar so much.
He's doing immersion the right way. Serbian is a completely phonetic language with only 30 sounds, which match the 30 Serbian Cyrillic letters, which is fantastic because there isn't a single dirty spelling trick that's going to confuse you. Nothing like English, where the spelling is kind of all over the place. And here's a nice surprise. You actually have the choice to write in 2 ways, because Serbian has 2 alphabets, Cyrillic and Latin, which is quite rare in languages, and everyone in Serbia does it. It won't just be you.
So you have the Cyrillic, you have the Orthodox stuff, you have the rakia, not vodka. So there is that kind of Slavic element there, but something about warm weather, being close to Mediterranean, there's more of the like Italian, Spanish vibe for just talking and being loud and chatting with strangers, and it's not such a problem.
Look, I won't pretend it's going to be easy. It is a Slavic language after all. Serbian has 7 grammatical cases, which basically means a word like cat gets different endings depending on the context. And that's the usual reason that English speakers often say the grammar is hard. But you know what makes all the effort worth it?
Čak ni ljude ovde me ne popravaju. Kad loš pričam, kad pogrešim, Neće da me popravi, oni su razumeli.
Serbs won't laugh at you, and this is a Frenchman. Plus, they've recently made it a lot easier to get permanent residency there. Speak Serbian and you're in. And I like this trick that Oliver used for remembering words.
Ja, na primjer, sam vizualan. Šta sam uradio u kući? Lepio papirići. Svuda u kući sam lepio papirići. Čašu, vrata, prozor, zid, svuda. I ovako mozak uči sam.
Nice. Best part is, with Serbian under your belt, you can understand Bosnian, Croatian and Montenegrin, and that's no exaggeration, they're practically the same language.
Yummy.
C'est bon. C'est doux.
Ah, j'aime bien.
Good job.
Bravo.
Un bon.
Un bon.
A girl.
Une fille.
Mais une go ou une petite.
More than 300 million people speak French on 5 continents. It's not just in France. But did you know over half of them live on this chunk of land? I'm talking exotic places like the beaches of Senegal, Congo's rainforests, Algeria's deserts, and lots of fascinating old cities. So if you ask me, it's high time we get with the program and learn how Africa does French. And is it different? Let's just call it same language, different personality. And wait till you hear this.
For example, in Cote d'Ivoire, people created a unique patois called Nushi, where they combine the structure of French with Ivorian slang to make sentences like Je suis ingénieur de toi. In Senegal, they're mixing in local Wolof words to make sentences like savant nank, meaning it's moving forward slowly.
Wow, France is pinching slang from Africa. Very interesting. Now, I'm not saying you should learn French from scratch in Africa if you don't want to, but if you really want to have an exciting alternative for your immersion time, I think West Africa, and particularly Senegal and Guinea, is a very good place to do this, especially if you already have a good foundation.
Bonjour, je suis Lima, la propriétaire de African Bread by Lima, ici à San Francisco en Californie.
It's got some very interesting old school vibes, that's for sure. You'll hear things that people in France will think are old fashioned and they mix in their traditional expressions. But don't you think that's part of the charm? I certainly do. And it's actually not that different. The biggest difference is the accent.
This is how Senegalese people pronounce French words. Civilisé, civilisé. Pomme de terre, pomme de terre. Eau de javel, eau de javel.
I love it. French is also very widely used on the islands of East Africa. Madagascar, Seychelles, Reunion. Ever heard of them?
The basic French is very helpful, and for some activities I would consider it as necessary. Go out to the people, expose yourself and listen to different accents and of course some like Creole words.
This is Manuel. He's from Germany and he came to Reunion to learn French. Now, one major reason to get excited about these islands is the nature and the undersea life, which is absolutely out of this world. And if you're into scuba diving or pretty much any adventure sport, there are options to work on the islands while you practice your French. But as Manuel discovered, you need French for safe diving.
I thought it's a matter of security that you understand everything, and as a beginner I wouldn't recommend it to go diving here without the basic French skills. Here I'm doing like a 5-week course, and it's really good. I speak French for like 4 hours a day and it improves.
That is so cool. Here's the little school that he went to. By the way, according to an expert that I follow on LinkedIn, French is so important that it's the only language besides English that's taught in every country of the world. But you can always learn in Paris if you really want to.
Et c'est la première fois où je suis tellement, où j'ai été tellement inclus dans la création du personnage. Ils m'ont vraiment permis de faire partie des conversations qui ont vraiment nourri le personnage, qui ont vraiment construit le personnage.
I'm not exaggerating when I say French opens huge doors everywhere. And if you can speak decent French, you can even apply for a government grant to take a postgrad course in France. And it doesn't even take long to get conversational. You could be chatting away in only 24 weeks if you practice a little bit every day. Now, French has a flair for the dramatic, and it shows in how it works. For example, French doesn't just say, I like you. No, it's a little bit different. It's tu me plais, which means you please me. Flirty much? Well, and those silent letters are sneaky little ghosts, like in beaucoup, where the P just vanishes, or faut pas, where the X and the S, who needs them anyway? Watch this guy's mouth.
Un bon vin blanc.
But since we're talking about African French, why not try out some expressions for yourself? Oh, and in case you're worried that you'll forget my language recommendations here, I've put all of them together for you in a lovely PDF, and I've even added 5 more languages I don't mention here that I think would be great ones to learn in 2025. It's really easy to get this PDF. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code right here on the video, or click the link in the description. It will take you to my story learning kit. Once you're inside the kit, you will find the PDF in the bonus section. It's a really nice one that you can print and add to your collection, so don't miss it. it, scan the QR code or link in the description, completely free. All the languages here, plus a bunch more that you should definitely consider learning in 2025. Now, get ready for the goosebumps. You can breathe now. This is an ancient style of singing. Isn't it beautiful?
Cehwyl tú, Davy. Tá mé go héintach ar fad. Agus tusa. Tá mé go má freisin, gur mágat. Anna
So poetic. Irish is a Celtic language, which is a group of ancient languages spoken in Britain and Ireland, and it's been said that you can't really know the Irish until you speak their tongue. Honestly, they're not that wrong. It is a language like no other.
Is as Ross Camon me, Tommy McConey in Ishin Nuarak, agus well ní mé lífa ar Corbe, tá cúpla focail agam.
Irish has these cool features called slender and broad consonants that make it sound totally unique. Now, what does this mean? Well, basically you can pronounce each consonant in two different ways depending on what vowel is next to it, and pronunciation mix-ups can get interesting. The fairies are coming. No. Peace is coming. She is coming. Well, I'm not done with those fairies, just you wait. Irish also does other fun things with words, like eclipses, where you stick a letter at the start of the word to change its sound.
Puck, buck, cree, gree.
Funny, huh? I always read the online forums to see what people are saying about languages, and Reddit has a real mouthful about Irish, like this gem. Only fairies speak Irish. Okay, sorry, whoever you are, but I see that as a plus. Learning Irish takes you on a journey into the mysterious Celtic heart of Ireland. It's one of Europe's oldest cultures, but don't think it's stuck in the past. Modern people speak it, celebrities included.
Agus as Frankie is Colleen Iantaki agus yeah.
Well, Gurv Mila Mahagat, which means thank you very much for having me today. Gurv Mila Mahagat. And I on Boherla.
Those last two have their own little secret, coming up a little bit later. Irish mythology is actually quite mind-blowing. They have all these legendary creatures like banshees, leprechauns, and shapeshifters. It's a real gift to the fantasy genre. Think of Tolkien's characters. Many are similar to Celtic characters, and if you really want to experience Irish in an authentic way, there are beautiful Irish novels and movies that you can get into.
Well, ich Galinsa. Shasamach. But
learning Irish isn't just about connecting with culture. It can actually open up some pretty cool career opportunities. Since Irish is an official EU language, there's big demand for Irish speakers in jobs like translating and interpreting, where the perks are pretty nice. The Irish government, for example, even gives 10-month paid internships for work in the EU. It's quite competitive, I hear, but even in Ireland itself, speaking Irish can make you stand out in fields like media, education, or tourism. All this.
Homage kun frastal Cafe Gaelga.
More Hornick Maestrak, be Rupert Moran, Dini Shin and all, Misha, August Bishid, a Clarich Gaelia, Gone Vibe, which ain't a good all.
It gets better. Irish is getting a glow up in pop culture. There's a big movement to bring it back into the 21st century. But the best reason to learn Irish is, of course, if you have Irish ancestry, like these guys and 80 million others. If that's you, well, what a beautiful way to connect with your roots, don't you think?
There's a beautiful shenakal, a phrase that goes, Is far gael gebrishta na berle klishta. And what it means is, broken Irish is better than clever English. It's about trying to keep a culture alive.
Not to mention the hidden bonuses.
And also, like, if we need to, like, chat about people that are annoying us, we can do it in Irish.
We can speak. We've got a whole language that you can
understand.
Yeah. Who knew? Not me. Although I have actually written a book of short stories in Irish. If you're considering learning Irish, then you can check out this book right here. I'll put a link in the description. Now, I don't know if you ever heard that learning a new language can supercharge your brain. Well, it's completely true. But let's face it, most of us have more immediate priorities than sitting down and learning a language, like, earning a living, looking after our family, whatever it may be. And that's why I'm suggesting you learn one major power language.
大家好，我现在在阳朔旅游，看。阳朔太美了，大家一定要来玩。
It is the biggest language in the world, even bigger than Spanish and English, and I probably don't need to tell you that Mandarin is a good business language. So good, the billionaires of the world are getting Mandarin Chinese tutors for their kids. And that should tell us all something. And so many people have realized this in the past 5 years. It's crazy.
我的专业的是会计，然后啊，我在埃及工作2年，然后啊，住中国学习中文半年。
This guy's a student and he decided to study in China, so he really threw himself in the deep end with the language.
1个月2个月，然后啊，全部可以听懂。
全部可以听懂。为什么就是在1个月、2个月这么快的时间内，你可以听懂老师的话了？
有很多朋友，中国朋友他们不会说英文，还有住一个餐厅我工作。
哦，对。
It really reminds me of how I learned French in Paris. I moved to Paris. I blagged my way into a job at a youth hostel, and I just had to start speaking French. I had no choice. Mandarin is not just for people jetting off to China. It's practically right on your doorstep. You can help customers in retail or healthcare, be a tutor, or work with businesses importing from China. Even in online business, Mandarin makes you stand out. You know the Marriott hotel chain? Well, they actively look for staff who can speak Mandarin. So does Apple. So does Bank of America.
By starting or continuing to learn Mandarin right now, you'll develop key language skills that can open doors for you down the line.
Want to see something awesome? The biggest thing by far that scares newcomers to Mandarin Chinese is the way that you read and write it. And I get it, it looks pretty terrifying if you're coming from English, doesn't it? For me, it certainly did look terrifying at first until I went and learned how it all works. And now I think, well, it's pretty much the coolest thing ever. Now, I don't speak Mandarin, I learned Cantonese, which is a different type of language from the Chinese language family, but it uses the same, very, very, very similar writing system. So I'll show you real quick how it works. Chinese uses a special kind of writing that isn't exactly letters, they're symbols or characters. They're super fun to learn if you can crack the stories inside each of these characters. For example, this character means endure, literally a blade on the heart. It's quite deep, isn't it? And this one means rest. It combines a person and a tree. Get it? Resting against a tree? Many Chinese characters actually started out centuries ago as drawings that looked like the thing they meant. This one looked like a person kneeling, and it means woman. And this one looked like a swaddled baby. It means child. When you put woman and child together, they make the word good. So it's the idea of a woman with a child being a good thing, which is quite poetic and very Chinese.
不好意思，谢谢，不客气，对不起。
Some easy phrases you can try out if you want. Just copy her exact tone, because that's very, very important, the tone.
忘了 Bigwater 的经验，后面说你怎么拼当然需要信心音，不可以流利地平线。
And if you need a break from Chinese writing, I will give you a language that you don't write at all and you don't even speak.
As y'all know, I flew in this morning, arrived hung with Cheyenne for the weekend. We plan to do all kinds of fun videos.
Have you ever thought about this? Every time a deaf person walks into a room, they look around hoping that someone else might know sign language. And can you just imagine being able to sign with someone who is deaf?
I wasn't really intimidated by the signing because some of my friends were learning sign language already.
That kind of connection can be life-changing, not just for them, but for you too. They live in a world where most people don't speak their language, so imagine their face lighting up when you start signing. I bet you can guess what it led to for Ellen. In the US, it's called American Sign Language, or ASL. We have our own version here in the UK, and if you live somewhere else, you can easily find out what the local sign language is. That's one of the curious things about sign languages. They do vary from country to country, just like the language. This is powerful stuff. You're not just learning a language, you're building bridges and breaking down walls of all kinds. And wait till you see which company you love is doing this now, coming up.
I was nervous to meet you. The deaf thing, like you being deaf, didn't really faze me as much. It made you more interesting.
Well, there you go. You never know who you'll meet in this world, so it's better to be prepared. And believe me, there is no end to the bonuses. ASL is not just a language, it's a superpower for secret chats, underwater conversations. Just don't use it for scuba diving because divers have their own signs, you see. But it's perfect for so many situations, and it's the magic that ASL gives you, not to mention the friends you can make. And you'll like this part. Those friends will give you a unique new name.
For us who weren't born into a signing family, we get our sign name from a deaf person.
Here's the part that will blow your mind. Ready? ASL, it's not English. I confess, when I first discovered sign language, I thought it was just signing English, but it's not. It's another language and a whole new way of thinking. It's basically 3D storytelling with your entire body. See, when you sign, you become part of the story that you're telling.
My name is. So we don't have a sign for the word is, so it's just going to be my name. My name.
And ASL even has grammar, just like spoken languages. For example, raising your eyebrows can turn a statement into a question. The three main things are, you mostly use whole word signs and add in some face expressions to make sure your meaning is clear. And then you spell things like your name using letter signs. And super bonus, you don't have to worry about pronunciation.
I mean, it's a great opportunity to learn a new language and to learn about deaf culture too. And remember, if you do meet a deaf person, stay open to being able to adapt.
I just love the way you can convey emotion and meaning in ways that spoken languages can never ever match. It really is very dynamic and expressive. In fact, this is really amazing. ASL has actually been modified so deaf people can also enjoy music. Check it out.
I put it down from the whip to my diamonds out in black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Wow. Well, after that, I would love to hear if you've ever tried signing, like maybe just how to say hello and spell your name for someone. Let me know in the comments. It really is pretty fun. And I just found out something very, very cool. There are major companies on a mission right now to create American Sign Language friendly environments. And one of them is, drumroll,
Starbucks has opened its first bilingual store in the U.S. for customers who are deaf or hard of hearing. All of the employees at the new location in Washington, D.C. are fluent in sign language.
That is right. Starbucks has just opened signing stores. Isn't this just the best thing ever? Okay, so you walk into a signing Starbucks. How do you order coffee without speaking? Well, watch and learn.
This means macchiato, cold brew, and pumpkin spice.
Now, there is a fun challenge. Let us know if you try it. As for Ellen and Ryan, well, they got engaged. Congrats.
Men vejret er så smukt i dag. Det er sikkert super koldt, men jeg er virkelig sådan forårshumør, så derfor har jeg besluttet mig for at have den her sweater på med de her forårsblomster.
Now forget the weather for just one moment. Have you ever heard the rumor that Denmark is the third happiest country in the world? Well, I checked for the latest in and they've jumped to second place. Sneaky, and that is a clue why you should definitely learn Danish.
Og så har jeg lige gjort mig klar, fordi nu skal jeg faktisk på date. Så solen er ved at gå ned, klokken er lidt i 6, og jeg er på vej på date.
This is Elise. We'll check how her date went a little bit later. So here's the thing about Denmark. It's an excellent country to live in, especially if you like equality. You see, Danes are really big on the idea that we shouldn't praise anyone too much because we're all the same, and it's an actual code that they live by. And living this way makes people feel happier. Surprise, surprise. It's also a very safe country compared to most, with high wages and fantastic free education.
But speaking about the job, it's relatively easy to find a job in Denmark, and the unemployment rate here is pretty low.
Well, even though Danes can speak English, and very good English for that matter, you'll be missing out big time if you don't learn their language, as Danny discovered when he moved there.
I do believe that Danish language will unlock you an access to so many things, because not everything is translated into English.
True story. And Danny's first language is Russian, which does absolutely nothing to help. Thank goodness he speaks English too, because English is way closer to Danish. There's just one teeny little problem.
Hvad? Skal vi ud på en båd der, eller hvad?
Så til grunden af det ham der på den båd der.
I'm gonna read that with my Norwegian ass accent. Hvad skal vi ud på den båd der?
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Danish pronunciation can be interesting, shall we say. There's this infamous thing called soft D that barely sounds like a D at all. Even Danes make fun of it.
You know this one, and that is grød med fløde.
Grød med fløde.
Don't get me started. Luckily, Danish grammar tends to play nice. Now, although it's the hardest to learn of the three Scandinavian languages, Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish, it's far from impossible, as some people may say. You just have to get your mouth to agree to those sounds. But here's some good news for English speakers. Danish and English are actually cousins. So tons of words are very, very similar, like house, cat, dance.
Snakker vi sammen om vores arbejdsdag, også hvordan gik det, og alt muligt. Og vi prøver at gøre det på dansk, selvom vi både udlændinge.
And that is a great tip right there. Choose a place where you may only speak the new language.
As soon as you start with the Danish courses, it will be much easier to integrate here and just to live your life here.
He's actually doing his master's in design right now, and I love this tip of his. Denmark has a really cool concept called language cafes, where you can grab a coffee and practice Danish with the locals.
So it's basically just an arrangement where there are coming Danes and just some foreigners, and they just eat cake sometimes and also drink coffee and just have this hyggesnak, you know, like they just talk to each other.
That word means cozy talk, by the way, which reminds me, someone else is back from her cozy date.
Den gik fint. Det var super hyggeligt. Jeg fik noget cola, og han drak øl og kaffe. Men det gik faktisk rigtig fint. Det var en rigtig hyggelig date.
Nice. And if you'd like to see what Danish actually looks like, well, you could always check out a copy of my Danish short stories, yet another book in my big and ever-growing series. We're publishing a few new, 5 new titles, in fact, 5 new languages in the years to come, so keep an eye out for those. But if all of this still sounds like Greek to you, then I have some news for you.
I mean, all languages are great, okay? But come on, man. If you have an excuse to learn Greek, wouldn't you take that?
I love this guy. He is so happy, and we will come back to him. But first, let me blow your mind with what is happening in Greece right now. Athens is becoming Europe's newest tech hotspot, and it's mostly about AI, artificial intelligence. In fact, Microsoft just dropped $1.09 billion on their data centers, and the tech giants like Amazon are piling in too. Plus, Greece's digital nomad visa means you could literally code or edit your travel vlog or launch your startup from a beach in Santorini.
I had to learn Greek. It was a mission that I was, I was on a mission to learn Greek because I couldn't bear the idea of not understanding Greek.
So Daniel's a composer who used to come to Greece on holiday, and one day he traded London for permanent sunshine. Can't blame him, really. And when he met a Greek woman, well, it was over.
For me, in that moment, there was nothing that I wanted more than to communicate with my father-in-law. And it was very, very hard.
And timing couldn't be better for trying Greek right now. Greece is hitting record tourism numbers, and they're desperately looking for people who speak both English and Greek. It's the same in Cyprus. The island is crazy popular for summer holidays, and even though locals do speak English, you'll battle to find a job without at least some Greek. Well, the locals always give the best tips, so let me ask.
Another great place for small talk in Greece is at the bus station or on the bus.
I'm not going to pretend even for a second that Greek grammar is a walk in the park, but you really can get going just by chatting with people.
Kalimera, τι κάνεις, okay? Kalinista, kalispera, yeah. Okay, yeah is like saying just bye-bye, okay, or hi. Once you master those words, and once you actually internalize them, and they can come out of your mouth without even thinking about it, you've done something really important. I ain't no bloody Greek, man, you know what I mean?
He really loves Greek. Wait, what's that thing that you're thinking of? The Greek alphabet? Yes. Might look a bit intimidating, but you know what? The Greek alphabet is so straightforward, only 24 letters.
More than half of the Greek uppercase letters are exactly the same as English.
Yep, and those letters, alpha, beta, well, that's where the word alphabet comes from. Alpha, beta, alphabet, you see? Give it a weekend and you'll be reading Greek signs like a pro. Unlike the next language, which has got an alphabet with 74 bizarre-looking letters. So good luck with that. See if you can spot it in this fun video over here about languages with impossible alphabets.